Welcome, everyone, to Totally Whiskey and Wine. We're glad you could join us. I am Jason, your host, and with me, as always, is James, our intermediate, and Zach, our industry professional. So, today, we got the fun of rating Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve 15-year bourbon. So, without further ado, what did we score it? Drumroll, please. $83. So, we got 83 on the Pappy Van Winkle. How did we get that number? How did we come up with it? Well, we rate in 4 categories: nose, mouthfeel, flavor, and finally, finish. So, each one of us will blind taste. We rate it from about 1 to 25 points in each of the 4 categories. Add up all our categories to get a total individual scores. Then add our scores together and average them out to get our final total. So that's how we come up with the total, but how did it rank individually? Well, let's look at that. We'll start with the nose. So for the nose, I gave it a 20 overall. I was picking up something I couldn't really identify all of them, but to me it smelled a little bit like vanilla, brown sugar, and kind of like Publix sugar cookies. Yeah, and a little.
Some good old snickerdoodles coming through.
Yeah, exactly. It just, that's what it reminded me of. So I liked it. I gave it a 20 for that.
Nose for me, first off, let's say thanks to Zach for giving us a chance to drink Pappy 15. This is a super awesome drink. A lot of people want to have it. It's super allocated. It's awesome when you can get your hands on a bottle and try it. If you have a friend that has it, get a sip of it and enjoy it. Nose-wise, I gave this one a 22. It's distinctly peanut butter nutty. 22 or 20 also? 22.
Okay.
Also, I gave it a 22, and it is peanut buttery, sweet, nutty, that sweet, nutty, fresh oak, kind of like a fresh oak hit on it. But I think this just... If I was going to take good, not Jiffy peanut butter, but like genuine, real peanut butter, made peanut butter, nutty, peanutty, this takes me right there. Yep.
I can see that. Yeah.
So Zach? It's funny you mentioned peanut. Widely across all of the like high rye examples of the Buffalo Trace, because they're the ones who really make it. Buffalo Trace product lines, like Blanton's, for example, is widely considered some of the base of this, although this is wheated. Peanut comes up a lot in those, dusty peanut. But for me, I gave it a nose of 23 with notes of white tea leaf, peach, caramel, oak, vanilla, buttered toast, and allspice. The peanut comes up later for me. But overall, yeah, incredibly easy to nose, even at 107 proof, which isn't incredibly high. It's not cash rank by any means.
No. But it's good.
But you can nose this for days. I've said it before. I'll say the joke again. Yankee Candle. Make me a candle of this. I'll get a subscription. Every month you're getting $24.99.
Yeah,
everyone's burning 24/7 in the house.
3 people purchasing it. Yeah,
that's like $85 a month in those 3 wicks. Come on.
Yeah, at least 3 people. More than that, maybe.
Yeah, the nose is just really nice.
Nose was nice. But moving on. Let's look at the mouthfeel.
Ooh.
So I'll go ahead and start with mouthfeel. I thought it lasted a decent amount of time. I really felt it in the back of my throat, and then it kind of moved forward along the sides and then to the front, and it lingered all through there. And especially just in the back, it just kind of sit like back here for me. And it was a nice kind of smooth, just warmth, so I really liked it. I gave it a 20.
All right, so I gave that a mouthfeel, and I just added a little extra note as you were talking about that, and I took another sip. But I get it good on the front of the tongue, nice heat, a little bittery. You get like a little bit of a bittery snap to it. It's a little bittery snap to it, but it's definitely it covers all my tongue. It hits all my taste buds. It's a positive thing. It's not a burny, nasty thing. No. The heat is like a relatively good amount of heat.
It's a nice warmth. Too.
It's what I would expect it to be. It doesn't come across too light or cool. It's warm flavor. So yeah.
So I ended up giving it a mouthfeel of 22. Overall, this is an incredibly easy to drink bourbon. There's a reason why most of the bottle's gone, outside of it being good. It's just super easy. I mean, no matter what mood you're in, no matter what you've had for food, except for incredibly spicy, this works with just about everything. As it sits on the tongue, for me, it's the forward and then the sides and then the back of the throat where it tends to linger the longest. Hits the roof and the bottom of the tongue, but not very long. Those are kind of like whispers.
Mostly front tongue, and that's where I got that. Most of the heat is on the front tongue for me. So
Yeah, you know, honestly, you're mentioning, you know, with like the food and stuff like that. Sorry, I gotta say this, just for whatever reason comes to mind, like a kind of a spicy gumbo,
Nah,
shrimp gumbo. For me.
I don't see it.
Like a shrimp gumbo for me.
trouble with
this.
spicy foods
I
is they
have
can
to
wreck your
disagree with
palate.
you.
Yeah.
No, I would like that.
What they
I like
do
spicy
to the
food.
bourbon.
Spice and alcohol is the worst combo.
No, but I think for me,
Because all it does is fucking activate the blood
Yeah,
vessels.
it
No,
it screws
I would-
with your
I would
tongue and
like
then
it.
ruins the whiskey later.
I don't know. I'd like it.
All right, well, that's why you're the beginner.
I know. Hey, I gotta give the everyman.
So what about the flavor, Jason?
So, flavor. Good question. So for flavor. I kind of had a little bit of a spice, like you were mentioning, allspice. I think that's what I was getting. It was a spicy flavor. I guess that's probably what that's coming from. Other things in there, you mentioned butter toast, and now hearing that, I can kind of taste that a little bit on you know, later sips here. But it's a good flavor, and it was a 20 for me as well.
I came in there on a 21 for the flavor on that. Tart cherry is kind of the bigger hit I get. There's a lot of little subtle hits, like you said, of toasted bread maybe, or like a
Cookie.
yeah, like a snickerdoodly sort of a
Yeah.
cookie or something like that maybe. But I think the main flavor that I put words to was like a tart cherry, sort of a tart cherry kind of flavor.
So for me, I gave it a flavor of 19. The only development from flavor is roasted coconut and peanut brittle. That's where I end up getting my peanut from. Yeah, it's well above average, but the way that the nose and the mouthfeel were leading me on, I wanted more out of the flavor. And perhaps it's that we had lunch a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Could have been.
But we've palate cleansed, we've given it some time, and as much as I like it, the flavor's the weakest part.
Yeah. Well, that will bring us to the finish. So, for the finish, I gave it a 21, a little bit higher than the rest. That was all the rest of mine were 20s. This one I gave it 21 because I thought it was just a little bit better overall than the individual parts. It for its proof, which it's not super high. It's not like you said, it's not cask proof, but it's up there. I felt it was very smooth. I liked how it stayed with me in my, you know, with the mouthfeel and everything. The whole thing just kind of, it's there. I still feel it. It's given me a good, warmth, comfortable feeling. That gets a 21 for me.
I matched you on that. I am also a finish of 21. Lasting, even. It gets me on the sides of my tongue. I have the back of my throat. I have some flavor still hanging on the roof of my mouth. I got a tiny little bit of burn in the back. It's not super high at 107 proof, but I have a little bit in the back of my throat. So it's a nice, lasting, even flavor. At 2 or 3 minutes after the sip, I can still mouth it. I still feel a little chew there. I can chew on it a little bit, and makes me want to come back and get another sip.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this is the first time we've all universally agreed on something.
Oh, wow.
I gave it a finish of 21.
21's around the board.
Yep.
Just pulls through together really nicely. Despite all of the heavy flavors in here, the finish is very clean. It whispers very good notes of vanilla the whole way through the finish. I mean, even as I'm sitting here talking about it now, it's been 45, 50 seconds. It is just still all present in the palate. This is something that wants to linger. It wants to give you that warm Kentucky hug.
I'm
It's
enjoying it. So, anything else about this? Let's talk a little bit about the Well, let's talk about the mash.
So to talk about the mash, I don't have it pulled up, and I know it's a wheated, so it is primarily corn as its bourbon. Then it's a percentage wheat. I think it's 16%, and the rest is rye. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's 16, 14, and then the rest is corn. But it's weird, right? With the Pappy Van Winkle, and there's books about all of the stories that the family has gone through under making this bourbon and all of the nonsense that's happened there. But from whiskey to whiskey, none of the Van Winkles are the same. So I've had the pleasure of trying 5 of them at this point.
Wow. So
I've done the 12, the 10, the 13, the 15, and the 20. Only pours of everything but the 15, because it's the only one I've ever gotten the pleasure to purchase. Personally speaking, I like the 12 more. I think this pulls through a lot more oak, and the 20 is the same way. It goes too oaky for me personally, and that just may be palate to palate. But yeah, read a book on Pappy. There's several of them. Pappyland is my favorite of the books, so I'll save you the pleasure of reading that. But yeah, no, this is let's go ahead and discuss this real fast, right? This is clearly a unicorn and something that is impossible to find. So why do we have it? We got very, very lucky and managed to get it from a local vendor of ours at retail. So we only paid, I think it was $174 for it. And so
yeah,
we have it here today thanks to that. But
this is one of those ones where I just like the glass.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll come back and say, I don't want to rinse the glass out. Like next episode, I'm going to get a different glass and just leave the Pappy smell in the glass. You can come back and just enjoy the glass.
Enjoy the smell.
It's oily enough. It's thick enough. The smells are really distinct and good. It's just nice to enjoy the nose. You don't have to pound through 2 or 3 drams of this. No. You can just sit and enjoy a small dram and watch a movie and come back. And even when it's gone out of the glass, the experience isn't gone. It's still nice to enjoy. A good bourbon is something you want to enjoy. Just the glass, just the drinks, the whole experience.
Oh yeah. Now
so
here's something I do want to bring up though, as Zach was saying. So retail 170 years.
You know, you can't.
But
so assuming you find it at your local on the corner of Winn-Dixie, and they want $2,500 for it, is it worth it?
No.
Yes.
No.
No way.
Never.
No.
Honestly, the absolute cap you should ever pay for this.
$350, you know.
I was gonna say 4.
Yeah,
$4. If someone asks you to pay $400, you can authenticate that it's a real Van Winkle because these are fake.
It's really Air 15, you know.
Any of the Van Winkles.
There's a lot of great bourbon out there. Unless you're just into the finesse of having a really foo-foo bottle with your friends.
Saying, if you're Elon Musk, or
money
Bill
don't
Gates
matter.
or Mark Zuckerberg, and you want to pay $2,500 for a bottle, have at it. I don't give a shit.
And like,
if you have a friend who has it and you want to throw them $100 for a pour, go ahead.
Whatever.
They'll be happy to give it to you. You know, unless they had to pay $5,000 to get it. And then they're like, no. And at that point, you should probably still pass.
And like, as unique as this is, if you can't get a hold of it for a decent price, Baker's 13, Paul Sultan. There's a bunch of really good bourbons that sit around that 107 to 113 proof range that are less than $100. You have other options.
I think there's plenty of $100, $200 bourbon that taste good. It may not exactly match that, which isn't really the point. It's just good.
Right.
Good bourbon, people will spend money for. At some point, you got to realize too much money is too much money, and you're just chasing a label.
Yeah.
And most people don't even open this.
No.
They just let it sit on the shelf.
Because it is enjoyable, actually.
Now, that being said, as we close out this episode, at this point in time, this is the highest rating we have given an individual.
Highest or second highest? Really close.
It is the highest.
83.
83 is the highest overall that we have done as a group.
We got some good bottles coming up, though.
Yeah, we do have some good ones coming up. But, once again, that is Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve 15-year bourbon.
How many people in the comments are
It got an overall score of 83.
All of them.
And, it was enjoyable. I liked it.
Thanks, Chase. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, thank you. So, whatever you're drinking, I hope you enjoy. Cheers.
Something.